Welcome to the instructional media portion of the Universal Design for Learning workshop. The goal of this video is to provide you with a deeper understanding of UDL. Universal Design for Learning is a set of principles for curriculum development that give all individuals equal opportunities to learn. UDL provides a blueprint for creating instructional goals, methods, materials, and assessments that work for everyone. Not a single one-size-fits-all solution, but rather flexible approaches that can be customized and adjusted for individual needs. Universal design refers to broad-spectrum ideas meant to produce buildings, products, and environments that are inherently accessible to both people without disabilities and people with disabilities. The term universal design was coined by the architect Ronald L. Mace to describe the concept of designing all products and the built environment to be aesthetic and usable to the greatest extent possible by everyone, regardless of their age, ability, or status in life. However, it was the work of Selwyn Goldsmith, author of Designing for the Disabled in 1963, who really pioneered the concept of free access for disabled people. His most significant achievement was the creation of the dropped curb, now a standard feature of the built environment. Universal design emerged from slightly earlier barrier-free concepts, the broader accessibility movement and adaptive and assistive technology, and also seeks to blend aesthetics into these core considerations. As life expectancy rises and the modern medicine increases the survival rate of those with significant injuries, illnesses, and birth defects, there's a growing interest in universal design. There are many industries in which universal design is having strong market penetration, but there are many others in which it has not yet been adopted to any great extent. Universal design is also being applied to the design of technology, instruction, services, and other products and environments. Curb cuts, sidewalk ramps, and public facilities at multiple heights are essential for people in wheelchairs, but are used by all. Many of the world's public transit systems are even equipped with ramps rather than onboard lifts. With modern technology supporting an increased understanding in the neurosciences and academic rigor increasing, it is only natural that the universal design for architecture begin to transfer into an educational ideology. In many classrooms, the focus is on a fabricated student meant to represent all learners. Many curricula are designed for that student. Modern cognitive neuroscience indicates that student doesn't exist. There is no average student anywhere. According to David Rose of the Center for Applied Special Technology, Universal Design for Learning is focused on making sure we support the students who have been marginalized, the student for whom English may not be their first language, or the student with a disability, the student who has been marginalized by this fabricated average curricula for the fabricated average student. Universal Design for Learning also supports students at the other margins, the gifted and talented students. These students have also been underserved by the mainstream curricula because they haven't been challenged and they're bored. Universal Design for Learning is a framework based in the cognitive neurosciences for designing learning experiences that work across a wide spectrum of learners. The main purpose of UDL is to ensure everyone is a successful learner. Ultimately, we want them to become expert learners. We want them to know how to learn, love learning, and want to learn more. This comes from careful analysis and identifying what learning really is. Researchers in the cognitive sciences, neuroscience, neuropsychology, have carefully looked at what comprises learning, how learning really works, and what the differences are among individual learners. From that work in the cognitive sciences, we have abstracted 3 simple questions. First, how does the learner pick up information? Second, how do they express and act on that information? And third, how were they engaged by the learning situation? So why is UDL necessary? Individuals bring a huge variety of skills, needs, and interests to learning. Neuroscience reveals that these differences are as varied and unique as our DNA or fingerprints. The 3 primary brain networks are the recognition network, the strategic network, and the affective network. The identification of these 3 networks is the basis of UDL. The principles of UDL were created from the broad principles based on those first 3 questions. The 3 principles of UDL are to provide multiple means of representation, provide multiple means of action and expression, and the final strand, provide multiple means of engagement. The first principle aligns with the recognition network of the brain. It is to provide multiple means of representation. This has to do with how we present information to the learner. The second principle takes into account the fact that learners vary greatly in how they communicate, whether it be in language, drawing, writing, and so on. The third principle is, in many ways, the most important. It is to provide multiple means of engaging the student in the practice of learning. The recognition network is why teachers should represent important information in the curricula in multiple ways. The recognition network of the brain is the what of learning. It is how we gather facts and categorize what we see, hear, and read. Identifying letters, words, or an author's style are recognition tasks. As it turns out, there is no one way that we can present information so everyone will successfully learn it. And so we talk about multiple means of representation. This is so everyone will be able to make sense of these symbols, language, or drawings in a lesson. For example, teaching mathematics strongly lends itself to the use of multiple representation. Teachers should not only use the symbolic representation of the numbers, but also integrate physical manipulatives for learners to create understanding by seeing a direct and perceptual connection to numbers rather than solely in the symbolic form. The strategic network is the how of learning. This incorporates planning and performing tasks, how we organize and express our ideas. Writing an essay or solving a math problem are strategic tasks. This is why we should provide multiple means of action and expression so students can express what they know in a skillful way that attends to their learning style. Obviously, allowing students to demonstrate their knowledge in ways which attend to their own learning styles and physical needs is extremely important. The affective networks are the why of learning. Attending to the affective network is how learners get engaged and stay motivated, how they are challenged, excited, or interested. There are many barriers. However, if we don't engage students in learning, make it important to them, and motivate them for it, then none of the other forms of representation or expression will be meaningful for them. Within UDL, when we look at a curriculum, we think of the 4 main components. Each of them needs to be universally designed. The first component is the goals. How do we translate the standards into things that are important to do in the classroom? Secondly, what are the materials that are going to be in that classroom? A chalkboard, a textbook, a workbook? Are these materials key to the learning, and if so, are they universally designed for learning? Third, how does the teacher go about teaching? In working to help students learn, has he or she set up collaborative groups? Do they lecture? Does the teacher provide experiences out in the world? And lastly, and very important to UDL, is the means of assessment. How are we sure that learning really occurs? It's common as educators that we are focused on learners who were doing poorly, learners who have disabilities and even look like they have disabilities. It's important now that the focus change because we can see now that the classrooms and the curricula themselves are disabled to a greater extent than the child. The goal of the UDL guidelines is to reduce the disabilities in the curriculum itself so that more students have access and succeed, more students have optimum challenges, and more students become expert learners in the end. Everyone should be able to rise above prevailing attitudes about overcoming barriers, and understanding what is essential for some can be equally useful to others, whether it is support in overcoming a physical barrier or embedding supports into a lesson to overcome other challenges.